Morgan was the name used by a young man who appeared in a handful of American pornographic films between 1979 and 1982. He was described as having a trim, smooth body, blonde-haired, and appears to have been short of stature. He had an abundance of acne on his face in 1979. He is a mystery because despite some people making the effort to discover information about him, we don't know what his real name was, when he was born, where he was born, or how he came to drift into the gay porn scene in late 1970s California. It is assumed because of his youthful appearance that he would have been 18 in 1979, making his year of birth about 1961. Some have suggested that he may have been underage and could have been born a year or two later, in 1962 or even 1963. What is known is that he appeared in two short sex films in 1979, Meet a Man 2 and A Newspaper Boy. Around the same time he appeared by himself in a short film, possibly the first time he was filmed. He appeared in two more solo films in the early 1980s, before his last appearance in a film, The Best Little Warehouse in LA, which was filmed on the 20th of August 1982. After that date, nothing definite is known about his life, despite the plethora of rumour around him. Various dates have been put forward for his death. He died early in 1983, he died on the 9th of October 1983, or he died circa 1984. However, nobody can actually prove if he is even dead. Let's look at the various stories which have circulated about this shadowy young man. The first is that he died in the early 1980s. He knew too much about criminal activity in the sex industry and was himself underage when he began performing sex for the cameras. So he was silenced by being thrown over a cliff. In this version of events, William Higgins, who was a prolific creator of gay porn films, and who made the final two films in which Morgan appeared, was either the instigator or knew who was. Higgins was American but left the United States to live permanently in Europe, settling in Prague in the Czech Republic in the 1990s. It is said that he fled America because of his involvement with the death of Morgan. His business was raided by authorities in 1988, but it was not due to anything relating to Morgan. An employee of Higgins had taken photos of an underage teenager, and Higgins was investigated along with the other man. The teenager refused to implicate the men in any crime, stating that he didn't know either of them. The case was dropped, but Higgins had found his new home much cheaper for making his type of movie, and remained there until his death on the 21st of December 2019. The second scenario is that Morgan was pushed off a cliff during the making of a snuff film, although nobody has ever claimed to have seen such a film. The third scenario is that Morgan was abducted by two men and kept prisoner and abused sexually for about a week. Then they took him to the mountains and dumped him over the edge of a cliff. His body, when recovered, was said to have burn marks from ropes on his wrists and legs, and he was somewhat emaciated. No police report matching such a crime has been linked to Morgan, however. This brings in another scenario, that his death was faked, and he just wanted to put his time in the sex industry behind him and start anew. However, why would he need to fake his death? He'd only been in a few films and was not known at all outside of the gay community. He could have just taken off and been forgotten. Nobody would have been wondering about him nearly 40 years later had there not been such mystery surrounding him. At any rate, the fourth scenario is that he was a runaway from home. This version of events is alleged to have come from the proprietor of a sex shop in Hollywood, who had contacts throughout the milieu. Morgan's father eventually found him and discovered he'd been making sex films, and convinced him to give up the lifestyle and return home to southern Los Angeles and to go to college. The story of his death designed to stop anyone trying to seek him out. The fifth scenario blends both these rumours. This version was told by William Higgins, the man implicated in the first scenario. Morgan's father did find him, or knew where he was all the time. One day they were driving in the mountains, and Morgan told his dad he needed to get out and urinate. In doing so, he managed to fall down a cliff to his death. Again, those who have made attempts to investigate could not find anybody dying accidentally in such a manner who matched Morgan in age or description, at least in California. Maybe it happened in another state. So there it rests. Murder, accident, suicide, or then again, he could be still alive, long after the rumours of his tragic demise. There have been many models involved in the porn industry who have died in mysterious circumstances. Quite a number have been murdered. It is intriguing how many of the rumours refer to some incident at a cliff, rather than a variety of causes of death, such as being the victim of a mugging, overdosing on drugs, or falling victim to AIDS, much more likely to have been a cause of death. Maybe something happened long ago, of which only whispers remain echoing in the dark corners of history.